Best part of being a camera operator on Game of Thrones is the privilege of making a story with the camera in front of some of the best artists in the world, reading the best words that I've heard written for a long time. My name's Sean Savage. I'm the A camera operator on Dragon Unit Game of Thrones. I started on Game of Thrones 2010. One of the first scenes I operated on Game of Thrones was some of the Night's Watch leaving the tunnel to go north beyond the wall. I've contributed to every episode since then. Over those 8 seasons, the Dragon Unit, I've had the privilege of shooting scenes like Battle of Blackwater Bay, The Red Wedding, Hardhome, which is extraordinary, an amazing sequence, followed by Bob, and then followed last year by The Ice Lake. I think by the end it'll be close on 73 episodes. Some of the challenges that the directors have thrown at us with their ideas, huge moves amongst ships and castle walls and the visual effects requirements, those technically have challenged us to our sort of limit, I'd say. I think if you ask me what my favorite scene over those 8 years was, it's when Jon Snow is forced to the ground and then trampled, and this seemingly immortal hero of ours looks like he's close to the end. Something that Miguel Sapochnik, the director, put into the show. It wasn't entirely scripted like that. Kit went to ground, I stood over him, and these stunt guys piled in, and we had a sort of safe word where we could call it off at any point. We had to see that the light closed up, so on Kit's face, and at that point, I just urged Kit to get off the ground and stand up again. And I think you can see that it is a true struggle. Bob was by far the biggest challenge, the scale of it, the organisation, and the ambition that Miguel had. The attrition of going into that situation every day, solidly for 23 days, was a huge challenge.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, fire!
The nature of the story of Game of Thrones and the landscape it's set in has really thrown it at us. We've abandoned sets because of floods, rock falls, snowstorms, wind. It wouldn't be Game of Thrones if these things didn't crop up. Not knowing that I would end up doing 8 years on the biggest show in the world, Game of Thrones has been absolutely fantastic because it was the right time, right place. My level of experience at the time was suited, I think, to the show. I put the right team around me on the Dragon Unit. So for me, it's been very lucky in certain ways, but, you know, it's, I think, meant to be to a degree, I feel sometimes, and I've loved it. I think it'll be a legacy of mine, which, you know, I'll carry forever.
The process of prosthetics is something I don't think people are quite aware with how extensive it is. It's such a complex department, and the build that goes into these things is quite time-consuming. From seeing our actor come to our studio and we take a head cast of him, to sticking a makeup on set is, you know, it's quite a long build time. But I think what's great for us is that it's lovely to see all our hard work and all these things we've built actually make it to the screen as well at the end of the day. An average prosthetic makeup we usually say is like about 4 to 6 weeks to build. We have so many patient actors that sit in our chair for like 4, 6 or 8 hours at a time. So by the time we usually step on set to do a rehearsal, we've already pretty much done a full day's work. So to then film and have our fun on set, making sure everything's not falling off people for 12 hours. The D-rig in the evening can take a good an hour, you know, or 2 hours. People are quite unaware of the length of time and the process that goes into these things. So each year it's got bigger and bigger and bigger. To the point now with season 8, we're sort of maxing numbers about the 70 or 80 mark on set. And in the workshop, we usually have a team of about 50 people. It's a big department to manage. I think we're very fortunate to have accumulated a really talented sort of pool of prosthetic people. I got hired season 4. We only had 6 whites filming, and these were these green screen guys, and at the time that was a huge thing for us at the time. Cut to Hardhome the following year, where it just exploded. We had something like about 40 to 50 prosthetic guys out there at any one time applying the whites and the white walkers. When we found out 2 years ago there's only 13 episodes left, I think we were obviously gutted and distraught. But I think it's real testament to the guys that they stuck to the word, and they're basically finishing the franchise when it should naturally end. It's become such a huge part of our life now. I think finishing next year and moving on to other projects is really daunting. I think it's probably scary for a lot of folk because we've just become part of this incredible family. The end is nigh, but I think it's going to be a big end.
When you read the scenes, there's a journey in there. And then I've got to try and find a way to achieve what's on the page and then make it interesting. You choreograph all this real action, and then I'm thinking, okay, how safe can I make it? I can put a wire on them and decel them, I can bury a mat. You know, we're trying to create this really dynamic frame of action. We'd love to go home at the end of the day and, you know, no one's paid any kind of price for it.
Action for you. Okay, there will be a background action first, guys. Ready? Ready?
We burn more people than anybody else, basically. And there is a bit of mental preparation goes into these things, but it's really controlled. It's a real process. We do lots of rehearsals where we put the masks on people, walk to where we were going to do the burn with their hands on the shoulder of their safety guys, and we line them all up.
We then really methodically practice what we would call like our fire dance, which is when you are then set on fire, the route you take in the scene to where you then lie down to be extinguished by the safety guys.
12, 13, 14, 15, out, out, out.
Safety precautions are really experienced. We have guys covering them at all times. We only burn them for 15 seconds because that ensures that we're not going to have any significant heat transfer. They wear 3 layers of Nomex underwear. It won't burn, it won't melt like a man-made fabric. That's soaked in a fireproof gel we put into a fridge, and so that's taken down to almost freezing. Then they put on a thin rain suit over the top, then a fire suit on top of that, then a boiler suit to protect the fire suit, and then the costume. So there's quite a few layers going on.
The latex mask that's on your face has got a really small hole that you have to breathe through, because obviously when you're on fire, you bite down on that and that stops any fumes or flame coming through the mask. The aim of it is to be really calm, really relaxed, get your heart rate down, just listen to every single word Rowley's saying, because if you do, then the shot will work and everything will be fine.
3, 2, 1, action! 1, 2, 3.
The show just keeps getting bigger. We did 73 full fire burns during loop train. We did 20 in one shot. That was a record for TV. We didn't do it wantonly to set a record. I was aware of it, obviously, and everyone likes that. But, you know, it was for the shot. That was the shield wall and everyone getting hit. So it had a purpose, not just a record. It is a little stressful, but with all stunt work, it's about harnessing that stress and channeling it, you know, that kind of energy. Fear's really good. Fear will keep you safe, but you need to just channel that fear and use that energy to achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah. Happy days.
I wanted to finish it. There was no way I was not going to come back for season 8, you know, but I think the story is nearly ready to be completely told. So it's mixed. So it's a little bit, it's tinged with a little bit of sadness, but proud that I've been part of it for 4 years. You know, I've done half of it, and I've enjoyed every moment of it. You know, so I will always look back on this very fondly.
Dracarys.
Things need to be shot faster and they need to be turned around faster. And this whole journey of Game of Thrones has been one of figuring out how to rise to that occasion.
We're pushing the boundaries here all the time. All eyes are on us, and we're trying to do things that nobody's done before. But showing up each year with a new stack of things to do, that is fun.
It's much more than a job. It is our way of life. There's a lot about working on a project like this that's like joining the circus. We move 10,000 miles away from home and we put up our tent to put on our little show, and then we tear the tent down and move it somewhere else. We have 4 supervisors on the ground with us starting out.
Now we have 24 previous people, 3 additional supervisors.
A number of concept artists, multiple visual effects editors, and the team that works with me sort of in air traffic control has grown to 5 and 6 strong, and there's quite a bit of air traffic to control at this point.
The biggest challenge for visual effects is defining what the workload is. From the scripts, we have a really good general idea of what we're doing, but for us, it comes down to the individual shots. Every shot defines a method.
Seasons 2 and 3, we were looking at 600 and 800 shots in a given season. Now we're looking at multiples of that in a single episode. It's a remarkable demand on our team.
It's hard to say what's my favorite shot because we've done so many, but the one that's in my mind right now is the frozen lake. Syrian does a strafe, which we follow, and then we tilt up just in time for Drogon with Dany on his back to land on the island. And we're running with the whites toward the dragon, and he strafes us and wipes us all out.
Viserion death. That was an amazing moment. We're contributing what is effectively a character in the show that needs to behave in a way that elicits an emotional response from the viewer. It's a really special thing as a visual effects person to be able to play that kind of a role.
You can tell when the animators get very excited about what they're doing and they start making really gorgeous performance. When the Night King puts his hand on the dead dragon and the camera's scraping right along his scales. I mean, all of that had to look absolutely real. What I'm going to miss the most is the daily creative exercise. I'm not kidding, we've done more than 10,000 visual effects shots. I don't expect to ever be able to work with a group of people who are as devoted and talented and determined to do the best thing for this long.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime perfect storm moment. where a bunch of insanely creative people come together to pull out something that none of us thought could be done, would be done, should be done. What are we going to miss about it? Oh my God, all of that. This is certainly very memorable.
I don't know what the emotional impact's going to be when we finally deliver the last shot, because I've been 100% living the show year-round for 5 years. I think it's going to be a big life change for everybody.